All right, we're on.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We'll start with the school.
Yeah, is that all right?
Yep.
Because I gotta leave it now. So this week, well, actually 2 days ago, I got a call from Amy, because the distribution center on Avery Lane from Bar Harbor Banking and Trust is up for sale. And it's already got 2 offers, but the bank would love to sell it for the school department, to put the central office in, they could put IT in there, and some other things, and we could even possibly lease some of the space to what I used to call Union 92, but I think it's just Lemoyne and Hancock, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is a completely turnkey building. It even comes with the furniture, except for the conference room. It has the cubicles, it has everything that you need for IT, because it even has an IT room, it has a conference room, it's completely turnkey. And they would sell everything, including the furniture. It is.
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
What's the street it's on and where is this?
Avery Lane,
Where
it's
is
off
that?
of Beachland Road.
Okay, so it was, who owns it right now?
Behind Bar Harbor Banking and Trust.
Directly behind Jack's.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah,
Thank
sorry.
you. Okay. I didn't know where Avery Lane was.
I know. You don't know all the streets?
I don't.
I did find out yesterday it was named after the president of the bank at the time that they built the building
Oh.
and built the road. Didn't know that.
Okay.
So Amy was asking me, we got talking about it, and it's 1.2 million. And Bar Harbor Banking and Trust can't lease, but we obviously, a building like this, we would most likely want to buy it anyway. So creatively thinking, we talked about, all right, so what, instead of leasing, which we probably could afford, what if Bar Harbor Banking and Trust would just let us borrow 100% at a good interest rate, and it would be better than leasing, we'd own the building. So I talked to Curtis Samard yesterday, and they will. If we can do it non-taxable, tax exempt, which is a conversation you'd have to have with Jim Safian if we'd be able to do that, it would be 6.11%. And if it is taxable, it would be 7.75. However, I talked about, we would obviously want a fixed rate, we wouldn't want a variable rate. But we do a fixed rate for 5 years and then review again for the tax rate. And then could either refinance at tax exempt if we wanted to, or we could review and take whatever tax rate at that time for another 5 years. So it would be 5-year increments for the interest rate. So do you want to talk a little bit, Amy, about the building?
Yeah, so, I mean, we talked last year. Go ahead.
Could I ask one question?
Yeah.
What's the square footage of this?
This
Oh.
is over 9,000 square feet.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think we're getting to that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what,
like,
that's what we're getting to.
That was just kind of
okay,
a-
I'm sorry. I'm just like,
Yeah.
where is it and how big is it? Okay.
Yeah. So, I talked in the last.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Hold on. Get you straightened out here.
Thank you. So during the last budget cycle, we talked a lot about how much we are paying in lease payments each month between our Delta lease, the Camden National Bank lease, which is where my offices currently are, and the bus garage. So one of the goals that we've had long-term is to acquire property that would allow us to get rid of lease payments and start building some equity long-term. So we've looked at a few different properties, none have been either what we need or long-term solutions. This particular property solves a lot of problems for us in terms of spacing issues long-term. So first and foremost, all of central office could vacate where we are currently and move into this in actually better spaces for my people, especially my finance department. This also would allow for adult education to leave the mall complex currently and move into this space. So we would actually get rid of 2 of our leases that we're currently paying to go into this. In addition, we have significant spacing issues at EEMS that we've talked about, and that's gonna continue to be problematic for us. And so the other solution is that our IT department is currently all housed at the elementary middle school. And so we would propose moving that entire department to this site, still have people present in the school, but in a different way, and move their department to this site, which would free up 2 different spaces at our elementary middle school to help begin solving some problems. If we got in and things didn't configure correctly, other ideas for this space, the large space that's at the very end of,
Here.
so the top, if I'm looking at this right, this huge space on this end is a wide open space with, right now, 16 to 20 cubicles are set up in there. That's how big it is. That is where we would think and talk about either having adult ed go. The other option for that space is pre-K possibly, and/or we could lease that space out. Hancock and Lemoyne always had leased space at our current offices, and because of personnel turnover and things of that nature, they no longer do that. But I know based on what their current superintendent is doing and a new superintendent coming in, if we wanted to, we could enter into conversations with Hancock and Lemoyne for them to lease office spaces as well. So there's a variety of different options we would have with this space. The other wonderful thing about this space is there is ample parking, which currently is a nightmare at our site, and there's land that comes with this. It's, I think, 3.02 acres. And what would be awesome about this is long-term, I think we also would start considering, could we store some of our buses there and start really coming up with a plan that's different for our bus storage and bus garage? Do I think we could put all of this on here? No, I don't. But I think we could definitely think about storing some of our buses there, long-term. Now, looking ahead into the future, one of the things that we have talked about is with the construction of a new Hancock County Technical Center, hopefully somewhere on the horizon, our goal eventually would be to move adult education possibly into that facility, which ideally will be near the high school. If that were to happen, we would transition at that time and either lease the space that we were using or not. But that's at least 3 to 8 years down the road before that ever happens. So we need to come up with a stopgap solution in the meantime anyway. The negative to this site, to be completely transparent, for adult education is the location. It's not in the hub or the heart of downtown like the mall is right now, but she still would be able to offer classes at our schools, but the office space and their permanent setting could be at this site. So in speaking to her last night, yes, it's a drawback. People won't walk in off the street at this site for sure. But they could have other opportunities for sites within our schools as it is now. So this is one of those opportunities that I'm afraid is only gonna come up once in a blue moon, which is why I'm bringing it to you today. It's something that the school board and I feel helps our school department move forward at an affordable rate. It starts to build equity for our city and our school department rather than, I mean, we've been paying leases for 10 years now. And I just feel like, and if you've been at our offices lately, they're shambles, the rugs are ripping up, the paint's coming off. And that's on us to fix. If we want to redo our floors and where all the carpet's ripping up and people are tripping, the school department has to spend that. And I don't want to keep putting money into property that we don't even own, which is what we are continuing to do if we stay where we are.
I've got some pictures of the roads too on here. So this is the building.
Yes. So the main entrance used to be here on this butt out, and they closed that off to make that additional office space. So someday, if you wanted to, you could change the entrance again. I would not propose we do that right away. And this is now their main entrance. And this is the entryway for security purposes for a school department. It is set up well, so that there's an entryway here as you walk in. This right here, that door, you're okay, you're all right. This is a standalone kitchen area, eating area. So as you walk in, you could take a left. There is a lock security thing here, and that's where people could eat. Currently, the way we're set up, if you want to get something to eat in my office, you're going through the conference room, so you're interrupting whatever's going on. So this is separate from all of the meeting spaces in the facility.
Yeah.
Yes, Vanna, yes. And so there's the eating and kitchen area for staff that are in the building. This is one hallway. And then you can start seeing, this is one wing of office spaces. There's ample storage, and you can see every office already has desks, file cabinets, and as an educator, the whiteboards are fabulous that they're already there, because those are an expense. And every office is already kind of retrofitted for us. Some of the furniture at our current location is ours, and some is Camden Nationals. So we would be looking to move our furniture, and we have to leave the rest. Some office spaces are quite large and could either be converted to multiple people sharing, which is what we currently do, or a space like this particular one could be an adult ed classroom, very easily. And adult ed has their furniture to bring, so we wouldn't be spending money on that. So these are all the different spaces. You'll see the office sizes are all varied. This is the extra large space where there is the multitude of cubicles. And all of this comes with the property. This big space here, like I said, could be utilized in a variety of ways. It could be adult ed, it could be a pre-K classroom, it could be leased. This whole section could be leased if we needed it to be, to bring in revenue. There's a variety of things we could do with that space. And then you can see, so all these cubicle setups are already there. And
Beautiful
come,
cubicles too. Holy cow.
the bank didn't spare any expense on the furniture, I will say. It's a lot, it's nice compared to what some of my people have in my office currently. It just keeps going. So, the other nice thing, we have nice bathrooms with this office. There are showers for employees if they want them. I mean, you can see how spacious some of the offices are, so people, I mean, my office currently, I have room for my, like, setup, but then also meeting spaces to meet with small groups of people. That is present here. The boilers are brand new, in the facility. So when we say it's turnkey, it really is.
2022, there's 21 or 22 on those boilers.
Yeah. And then there's parking along the street, along the front, the side, and the back. I don't know if they show.
I'm not sure.
So yeah, this all is parking. It's almost like a U shape around it. And then the land goes all the way over here. And so one of the things the Realtor and I talked about long-term, if we ever got there, is there space to create some sort of opportunity for buses over here, even if it was half of our load and keep half at a school or something like that. But that would be a next step phase down the road that we would look at that, because that would be a different expense.
I think that's
So-
just more.
Yeah, you can see there's Jack's. So I call it Child and Family Opportunities, Down East Community Partners. They're early learning facilities across the street from us. So it's an educational setting that would be across the road from us. It's a dead end. And so you can see that that's the front. Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So that gives you kind of a feel or an idea of the building.
So financially, when we say turnkey, it's never exactly turnkey. There's always expenses, and we had talked about, so what costs would there be? There'd obviously be moving costs to
Yeah.
bring these things in. There's leases that may or may not need to be broken, or at least give a 90-day notice or something like this. And the bad part about this is, I don't know how to make this stuff.
Nate,
I need me.
oh, right
Can you
there,
just-
hit that mirror button. Yeah.
So I did talk to Curtis about that, and there's a couple of things that we could do is, he would do up to 2 years interest only to help save the money. I checked out both of your leases.
Mhm.
The Mill Mall one is just a 90-day notice,
Yes.
and the Camden National is a 30-day, right?
Yeah.
It's a 30-day notice, so that's actually, we wouldn't have to pay any penalty for breaking leases. We just have to give them enough time.
Could we throw out the number that we're paying for those leases?
Yes, so,
And I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
no,
please
you're
do.
fine.
Yeah, that's,
so
I'm
the
hurrying because I
rent.
got an appointment
Yep,
all
okay.
over the place.
So the rent at Camden National Bank right now is $4,725 a month, and that does not include utilities, okay? Then at,
but there's no triple net, you're not paying a portion of the taxes, you're not paying
no,
insurance.
Correct.
It's straight. Okay.
yes.
Yep.
And then adult education, it looks like, that's the old one.
I think it was 2,700.
I think it's about 2,500 to 2,700.
Plus a capital,
Yes.
There's
There's
a-
a
another piece
fee,
that's
there's a fee they charge for monthly
Mhm.
for expenses.
and that does include, or does not include utilities?
Additional expenses for us is the internet, electricity, insurance. We do contribute to all of that.
That's no different than what you're proposing here. You're gonna have those costs no matter where you go.
Absolutely, yes.
And what about the bus garage?
The bus garage is over 5, I believe, a
Yeah,
month.
it's almost 6,000.
And
It's
the
a-
break on that?
The break on,
The bus garage, we haven't looked
I
at
haven't
that
looked at the bus
yet,
garage
because we
because-
wouldn't move that right away.
But what is the cost monthly?
almost 6,000.
It's almost 6,000 a month,
Okay,
Steve.
and is that, is
We
that
would
triple
not-
net or is that not?
We would continue paying that for the next year.
Right, but is it triple net? You're paying taxes and insurance beyond the 6,000?
I do not believe we're paying taxes on that, no.
Okay.
I believe the owner is. I'm gonna double check and make sure.
That's fine, I'm just,
'Cause I'm pretty sure when Jack did that, it might have changed, but I was pretty sure that it was a triple net lease on that.
I think so.
Except for
triple
the
net
house.
means you pay the taxes and insurance and all that, yeah.
So I'm gonna look.
But I can't remember.
I believe it was negotiated right before I came on. I think so.
That's fine, I'm just asking.
No, you're fine, Steve. I want to make sure, though, that I'm giving you accurate information. And I don't have it on my phone. So I'm not sure what next steps would be.
So there
While I'm
is an
looking.
opportunity after this meeting. Terry Smith said that she would take people up to look at the property. I can't go because I said I'm hurrying to get through this for an appointment, but I just wanted to say.
Yes, the Realtor did say that she would let the school board or any city council or city employees that want to go do a walkthrough so that you could actually see it. We can just give her a jingle and she'll meet us up there so that we can do another walkthrough. and I am gonna bring a couple of school department employees. Right now, the only people that have walked through are myself and the facilities committee of the school board. And so I think it's important that if other people wanna do a walkthrough, that they can.
I don't think I have anything else on my list here.
So I guess, would we be looking for, we'd need a formal vote of the council, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that I wanted to talk about, because we need to be as transparent as possible with this, and we need to make sure that people know what we're doing and why we're doing it. Definitely, we don't have to, we can do a purchase and sale agreement, and to find out, in the meantime, just because there are two other people that are looking at that actually made offers. And we could vote to do a purchase and sale and negotiate. We can't negotiate price, because that's pretty set, and it's actually an excellent price for what you're getting with the building, the property. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
all set up for her IT department, because it was a distribution center, so the IT in that building is incredible. But we could do a purchase and sale that said, in order to give us enough time to have the public know about what's going on, to have a good, thorough financial view of this property. Ann's got to talk to Jim to see if we can do it tax exempt, because that's, about 1.5% less of an interest rate than what we would get if it isn't tax exempt. We need to look at the cost of utilities for that building, how much
Yes.
insurance would it be. So in order to get a good financial view of it, which we would absolutely need to take to the public. It'll take a couple months before we can get it back to, it'll probably be at least the April meeting. Plus, we're in budget season. So, with the timing, I'm talking about school budget, city budget.
Yeah.
We need to be very careful that we're taking every single step and knowing every bit of financial information on this building. But I really think, the bank would love to sell it to the city and have it be a city property, and like to help out the school department, which is why, like I said, it's unheard of, but they will finance 100% of this building, 25 years. He said he would go to 30. I don't think we should. I think 25 is more than enough. They will give us the lowest rate that they can, and help in any way for the school department to be able to have this building. It's an opportunity that really, it just really is something that we just shouldn't walk away from, I think, personally.
Can I ask a question? You said that there's 2 other contracts on it right now.
I don't know particulars about it.
If you put a contract on it, would you still have the inspection period, or are they selling it as is, or?
So that's part of the purchase and sale agreement. So they don't have a contract, they have 2 offers.
Okay, so they have
There's
2
no
offers.
contract on it.
But would we still have the usual inspection period? Because that
That's
will
part
buy
of
us some
purchase and
time.
sale,
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying we would do a purchase and sale so we can get all of our ducks in a row.
It buys us time.
Yeah.
Buy this time. And so that they can tell. But the thing is if this is something that we don't think the council will want to do, it would be unfair to do a purchase and sale and have them lose the other 2 offers too. So,
How long's it been on the market?
Oh,
this week.
this week only, like 3 days, I think it's been posted. I've been watching for it because Bar Harbor Bank had given us furniture to replace some of our old furniture, and so I knew it was coming, so I've been watching it. Because I had a feeling, I had never been in it, but I had a feeling that it would check a lot of our boxes moving forward.
Okay, Steve?
Go
You
ahead.
ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve, hit it.
This is incredibly exciting to me. I would like to ask a couple of questions that you may not have the answers to.
Yep.
I would like to participate in the viewing after this meeting. I think that's
Yep.
exciting. I have never voted for anything to do with the school department because I felt the budget brought money into my home. This
Right.
does not bring money into my home. This is just a simple decision
Yeah.
for the city. Therefore, I feel, unless someone disagreed with me, that I could vote on this because
Yes.
it does not bring money into my home.
I agree.
And unless someone disagreed. When was it built?
97,
I was gonna say.
I wish I still had that up.
That's fine?
Geez, 30 years.
It's on.
Roughly?
here. I can give you a copy of this too.
20 year-
97
Yeah,
is
okay.
what
Okay,
it looks
so a
like to me.
15-year building is gonna
Yeah.
need some immediate maintenance somewhere along the way, I would assume. But even if you,
97.
30 years.
oh, I'm sorry, is it 30 years? Okay, so
Yeah.
30, I'm sorry. 97,
Yes, 1997.
okay. So,
Yes.
so you're gonna have some roof issues, main issues, you know, whatever, but you're gonna have that in ownership of anything you do.
Correct.
And just the rough numbers, you're spending 13,425 in the 3 leases and, you know, you're gonna have utility costs no matter where you go. You're gonna burn the
Right.
same energy, I would assume, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And I don't have an amortization calculator, but,
I did it at 7.25 for 25 years, and it's $8,700 a month.
well, I just did some rough math if you did it for 15 years, because if it's that old, you're gonna have to put in some major renovations at some point in the near future. But I can't, I just can't even fathom why that wouldn't be worth the 1.2 million to the city. And I know we're gonna lose the tax revenue. I don't know what that is.
Like 19,000, 18,
You're gonna, are you gonna burn up 20 grand a year? But I don't see the downside here, even if it needs $1 million renovation.
Yeah.
It'll be, and obviously the bank has kept that up, because like I said, it's a new boiler that they just put in.
Yeah.
And if you, I can shoot that over to you too, I've got the specs from Terry Smith, the Realtor, and it gives the date and the age of utility, well, utilities are city utilities anyway, but, the inside utilities, the boilers and things like that they replaced along the way.
So quick math, just rough math, I took, even if, fairly speaking, you're gonna double your payment. So you're saying there's a $9,000 a month
At
payment?
25, yeah.
Okay, so, so we're gonna double that. So there's 18 grand a month. You're paying 13 grand a month in leases. Rough speaking here. I realize I'm diving off the diving board, but I can't imagine that this isn't an exciting time for the city of Ellsworth.
Well, like I said, from an educational perspective, this moves our school department forward with the vision of where we're trying to go with departments and space problems, education. I mean, even just from an educational standpoint, what we could do with the utilization of this building for professional development opportunities, for meetings, moves us light years ahead of where I thought we would be, staying where we are currently. It really does.
I'm gonna shut up now so everyone else can talk.
Well, I also wanted to add too, is if we could even do 6 months of interest only, instead of doing full payment, in order to be able to cover the costs of moving and the other things that we have to do when we go into a room that always come up. I mean, we could do that to offset, and then we could also not do the purchase until July 1st, so this could be budgeted.
Right.
So, these are all possibilities, but we do, if we are serious and if we think that this, is something that the city would be willing to do with the school department, we do need to get a purchase and sale agreement fairly quickly. Just, out of fairness. You know, like I said, Curtis he really and truly wants the school department to have this building over the other people that have already made offers, but we have to be fair to the bank. And the other thing is, I did ask about leasing just in case, although I really don't believe in it. But they can't lease this building, because you have to get FDIC approval to do that, and it's hard to do. There's a lot of strict rules on it. They could do the Camden National Bank one, because they're inside the building that Camden National owns, but, and inside the building, it's not a separate building. But, purchasing this as an asset for the city, and you're right, it does take, you know, tax dollars away, but it's something that we'll own. Any money that we put into it is an asset that can be sold later if something happens. I mean, so it's not, the value of it is incredible. And I agree with you, 1.2 million is such a great deal for
Yeah,
$9,000.
they said it's below city assessed value.
Yeah. So,
Do you want me to share that with
mhm.
Glenn and Ann and Steve? I have it right here.
I don't know what our status is for loans, if it can be tax exempt or not. Don't have our debt service.
Carry an 8% decision, carry the worst and make a decision and hope for the best.
Yeah, because it'd be 7.75 with the.
Yeah, so 8%.
Yeah.
That's what you carried, or you carried 6 something?
I carried, when I did it, because I just did it quickly, 7.25, that was before I talked to, so it was like in the middle.
So if you double your number, it's 18 grand a month.
Yeah.
And if we can get it at 6.11, then it would be,
I think we need to make our decision based on the high cost and hope
Yeah.
for the best for the low cost.
well, Ann can make one call to Jim Sappian and say, if we do this and close it on July 1st, can we do it tax exempt? We'd know that quickly, Jim can tell us.
Do we have any other borrowings coming up this year?
High Street.
Yeah, High Street, 8.1 or 8.6.
When, no, but didn't we authorize that already?
Yeah, the
In
8.6.
last year, 2022? Was
No.
it, no, in 23, I mean, in 2023?
We just got the offer this year,
In 24?
fiscal year 24.
Right, so it goes by calendar year for the borrowings though, so we should be okay. And that's through SRF, right? Is that, yeah, so
Yes.
that wouldn't be, it wouldn't include it anyway, so
Yeah.
we should be okay. So
Yeah,
we just
the
have
only,
to,
the only borrowing we're looking at right now is the wastewater expense for High Street, which is
Okay.
probably about 225,
Yeah.
250.
The collaring of the,
Yes,
So
we'll-
is it when you're awarded it or when you apply for it that determines what year it falls in? Because we were awarded it in 24, the 8.6.
in calendar year 2023 though, right, so,
No, in calendar year 2024, we were awarded the 8.6. I'm pretty sure, let me double check, but, because I was doing the application at the end of last year. I'll confirm it.
okay, we still shouldn't count towards
But
it.
that's SRF anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
so it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter.
So, right. Yeah, it should be. The only thing is, we need to be careful with rentals. I
Mhm.
think it's okay to rent to other governmental entities.
Okay.
Because if it's revenue-based from
Yep.
taxable, then there may be some structuring of the loan that's a little different too,
Okay.
so.
I don't think we need to be in the landlord business.
No, I don't think so either.
No,
But, like,
I
to
don't,
ours,
I don't
mean-
really want to be. To be transparent, there's a variety of things we could do with it. And that was one thought, was the Hancock Lemoyne partnership.
And that would be okay, because they're
Yes.
tax exempt property anyways.
Yeah.
And it was something that we've done before.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah, that was more my thought, was are there other educational entities? There's some other educational organizations that I thought they might need an office or 2 offices that could be potential, if we didn't occupy the whole building ourselves, which we very well may.
So, thoughts on this as far as adding it to the agenda in March?
I'm in favor of it. I think we need to definitely have some more information, the financing of it, and make sure we can borrow, but I think this would be a good, what's it, in 3 weeks? The 18th?
March
18th,
Yeah, so we have some time to,
Can we add it to the
Who's the
agenda this
contact at the
late?
bank?
Yeah. It's not a
Curtis
public hearing.
Samard, Curtis Samard, who's the
Okay.
contact? Curtis Samard.
Curtis Samard.
Yeah, Bar Harbor Bank.
Simard.
The school board have a unanimous position on this?
3 of the 5 are here. We have not taken it to the full school board yet because we haven't had a meeting. The facilities committee has already walked through it with me, and then Kelly, the chair, is here. So my plan would be to take it to our March school board meeting, which is the week before yours, and have formal public discussion at that. And so we would have that vote to bring to the council meeting on the 18th as well.
Is there a suggestion to sign a buy-sell agreement prior to that meeting?
I honestly,
Just the PNS.
I wouldn't do, because the city has to do this. The school department can't borrow on its own.
Right.
So, but honestly, I wouldn't do anything before any vote in March,
Mhm.
because that's.
So how is the bank, it's a bank,
If we call Curtis right now and say that the finance committee has agreed that they'll take this for approval of a purchase and sale at the March, he'll be fine.
He's very, very
okay?
easy to work with and
It's
supportive
listed
of
right
this.
now, right?
Yes.
It's on MLS. What if he gets another offer? Full price?
Curtis doesn't want us to run anybody else. He'll take the offers, but he won't do a purchase and sale agreement because he really wants the city to have this. And Curtis is also on the EVDC board, so the development of Ellsworth is top of his mind. So,
So I'm in favor. Steve, are you in favor of moving forward with this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
If I'm allowed to vote.
You're.
you were absolutely, this won't bring money, it just improves the education system of Ellsworth, so. So,
Need to do it.
going back, kind of, because I did this kind of quickly, because Curtis called me yesterday. Do you mind if I call him and tell him that this will be added to the agenda? I don't want to overstep my bounds here with you.
No.
Okay.
I mean, after this meeting, I'll give Tony a heads up, and then you can just provide her whatever language you want for the agenda item.
I mean, it's not a public hearing, obviously we'll allow public comment, but it's not gonna, I don't see, because there's no money going out, but I don't see that it would need to be a public hearing.
Okay?
Okay.
So, but they will need to, there will be a purchase and sale that needs to be negotiated with Curtis. Maybe you and I can do it together.
Sure. Be happy to.
Okay. So, I know you have other business, so when you're done, I'll wait out here, and then I just need to call the Realtor and give her a heads up, and she's gonna meet us there for anybody that wants to do a walkthrough, and I have a couple of school personnel that I'm gonna have come also, because nobody has seen it, like I said, but Bev,
I would
Paul,
like to
and
do that.
myself.
I'd
Yes.
like to join you.
Yes, absolutely.
I wish I could do it, so.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Sorry about that.
Well, anything I have to say seems to pale in comparison. I'm not sure we need to continue this meeting, but.
Sorry, Glenn.
Yeah.
um,
Just hit my arm. Okay, then you want to. I'll see you later.
So just quickly, a lot of my week has been spent dealing with some internal issues, but largely budget preparation, working on the budget, trying to pull some figures together, working with individual departments to review their budget proposals, to try and pare down and prepare for a manager's budget. So that work continues. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have some budget books together to get out to council next week. And you all saw the budget workshop schedule that I worked on quite a bit yesterday with some input from Michelle on how we want to structure it this year. It's a little different from previous years. So the feedback that I've gotten for the most part on the schedule that I sent out late yesterday afternoon seems positive for the most part. There's a couple of dates that people are going to be out of town or what have you, and we do have remote possibility for participation. And, you know, I mean, it's just expected that somebody might miss one here or there. So, but we have some built-in review sessions. We built it in with initial meetings on Mondays, follow-up meetings later in the week, either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on scheduling of this facility. The Monday meetings will be heavier. The Wednesday or Thursday meetings will be lighter in presentation and provide more opportunity for council to discuss both the Wednesday or Thursday presentation and what was presented on Monday. So that I think the desire is to feel that as we move through the different budget workshops, through the different departments, that council will have a better comprehension of each department, so that at the very end, we'll hopefully the process will go smoother and people will feel like they have a better handle on the budget as a whole. So that's the hope. It's a lengthy schedule. We're starting the week after next and going right into right now scheduled meetings right into the first couple of weeks of May, and throughout most of March, the end of March and most of April, we have 2 meetings a week scheduled. So, but I think it's important that we do our due diligence and work through that process, so.
I know it's needed, but ugh.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think also part of the thought process with kind of lightening up some of those meetings and not piling on, department after department after department, is that instead of 2 or 3 hour meetings, perhaps we can make an effort to keep the meetings to an hour, hour and a half type of time frame. So it's hopefully not to wear people down to the point where, they don't really care what they're voting for. They just want to vote to be done with it. So that's the hope anyway. Work continues with the planning department on the comprehensive plan. So there's several meetings this week that I attended on that front. The Cassell software, also that transition is continuing. It's not without its problems, which we anticipated. I was on a meeting yesterday with IT and Cassell, and they're going to be scheduling some more on-site training that previously wasn't scheduled because they were on-site and there was some disconnect. We didn't get the full gamut of training that we anticipated. There was some issues with the software and the data that delayed some of that training. So they're going to be coming back in March, mostly the third week of March, 18th, the week of the 18th. Predominantly to work with Ann and her team, because that's really where the kind of the meat and the potatoes are of the software. And so they're coming back to do some intensive work with that group. The management team, for their part and their what they need to do to operate and work within the software, the training was pretty adequate, and most managers know what they need to be able to know to enter invoices and purchase orders and that sort of thing, which is really the extent of their need. I will say that I got a tutorial yesterday from IT because I was on vacation during the week of the implementation, and the reporting component of the software is really incredible. And once we get it up and get all the data in there, probably, and FY25, get the budget information in there, the ability for managers to be able to on a daily basis, monitor their spending and their budget, their individual line items within their budget is simple as setting it up so it's on your dashboard when you open it. You can pin individual accounts, like, for example, in police, overtime's always a, overspend, it's always a problem. And in this software, you can pin, so every time you open to your dashboard, it'll show you exactly where you are within your overtime spending and show you how much percentage-wise you've used year-to-date, and it's just really incredible. And we're hopeful, and my discussion with IT yesterday was that once we get this software up and running and all of the data in there, as far as our budget figures and everything, being able to provide actual counselors with a login so they can actually go in and without your financial director or anything providing you reports, you can actually go in and look at individual budget reports and spending and everything. So I think it's going to be a really, really outstanding change for the city, and I think it's going to really provide a lot of great financial information for everybody involved, staff, counselors, finance department in particular. So I'm really excited. Again, it's not coming without its flaws and its hiccups, but Cassell's been they've been fantastic to work with. The only hiccup we're having right now is they work on a different time zone because they're in Colorado. So Utah, so they open later than we, so there's a little bit of lag there time where, if we're doing something first thing in the morning, we can't get assistance because they're not open yet. But I actually spoke to, when I was in that meeting yesterday, we spoke to those folks, and they were very interested to hear that. They're currently working with York, Maine, for York, Maine to take on their software. So they're expanding into the Northeast considerably, and hope to have even more communities brought on. So we're going to have a discussion about how they can better accommodate the Northeast based on the time difference, and perhaps stagger staffing so that somebody is available for help on hours that normally they wouldn't be open because of the time difference. So they seem very responsive, and I have a lot of positive and a lot of belief that it's gonna end up being a really great move. Met with Public Works. We spoke a little bit about the High Street project. We're still finalizing those figures. Hopefully next Friday we'll have them finalized for you to take a look at, and we're gonna break out the water. I think we talked a little bit about this last week. The water figure is probably a manageable budgetary figure, something we can budget within his operation budget. It's probably going to be somewhere in the $40,000 range, as opposed to the wastewater. Wastewater has far more work that needs to be done, and the work is much more expensive than what the water does. We're talking $600 to $700 as opposed to $2,500 to $3,000 per manhole cover. So that's definitely going to need to be financed. We're definitely going to need to borrow to cover that cost. So hopefully by next Friday, well, definitely by next Friday, I will have the total cost with water split out and the cost that we'll need to cover the wastewater for this group so that we can move that forward. It's likely that we're going to need to have we're probably going to need to schedule a emergency or a special meeting onto one of our budget workshops for the council to authorize the project to move forward, because I need to, by the 13th, I need to sign the agreement with DOT for basically taking responsibility for our financial portion of the project. So so once we have those exact figures, we'll work on getting that scheduled. Just piggyback it on one of the budget workshops and get
I think we talked.
council
did
blessing.
Somebody say last week that you were gonna ask them if they can extend it until the 18th, so we didn't have to have a special meeting, or?
I did, and
You did, okay.
yeah, I reached out, and he said he really needs an answer from us
Okay.
by the 13th, so that's their deadline in order to
Yep.
get the bid process out.
Let's not slow them down
I know, right?
about getting pavement.
No.
Pavement.
So again, I'll have that for sure completed, for you to take a look at next Friday. And, another issue that I just want to bring, it's a financial issue, so good time to bring it up to you all. It's on the council agenda for the 18th, for an executive session to address a potential settlement agreement for a foreclosed property that was sold some years ago. Actually, Tammy, you probably are much more familiar than I am, because it was before I was city manager. It's the Hennig property up on Hillside Drive. It's been in the courts for, well, 4 years at least. And they're looking to settle. At this point, in my conversations, settlement conversations, I have told the attorney that the city would be willing to, and of course, without authorization, and they understand that, but that the city would be willing to put forth whatever revenue they gained from the sale of that property. Because as I'm sure you're both aware of, because we've had conversations before, the Supreme Court ruling has put an end to the days of selling foreclosed property and keeping the proceeds. So either way, the proceeds from that property sale are likely to be returned to the former property owner. So as part of the settlement, I've tentatively committed the city to returning any profit from that property sale, less legal expenses for this last 4 years of battle. So I don't have those exact figures. It's somewhere in the $30,000 neighborhood. But for that executive session, I will be providing the city, the council, with the specifics of the settlement agreement and, exactly what our surplus was when we sold that property, what our legal expenses have been up to date, and hopefully we can come to agreement as the council to offer to contribute to the settlement so that we can get the issue resolved, because it's been, like I said, it's been lingering in the courts for as long as I've been city manager, and I think actually before the legal wrangling started, before I was even city manager.
When Kelly was here as a tax collector.
So it's been a while, so it'd be nice not only for us, but also the individual who purchased the property to be able to get this
Free and clear, right?
free and clear and get the legal wrangling behind us and the legal expense behind us. So that is coming up on the 18th. If I have the information prior to the 18th, which I hope to, as far as our side, I will bring that to finance so that you have those figures before the 18th. But with everything else going on, it's difficult to nail down specifics on that. But Sue, the tax collector, is working on gathering all the information. And I have a meeting next week with our attorney to discuss our portion of the settlement and provide exact figures as to what I'm gonna propose to the council for our contribution, so. Solid Waste Committee,
Yeah, that was really great.
Tammy and I shared a few minutes last night.
Yeah, Steve, were you here when Glenn had talked about the possibility of collecting e-waste? So that'd be television, stuff like that. So we did meet last night. We're gonna be bringing it to the April meeting, I believe, because there's still some things to figure out, and we have to look at the solid waste ordinance, and so, but I think it would be a great opportunity for us to be able to collect that. I think we're gonna charge minimal costs, and it's not very expensive. I think it's $100 for a pickup, like for them to come and pick it up and transport it. And if we charge $5 for smaller TVs, monitors, laptops, $10 for larger, like that size, I might definitely think that we could make up the money that we're spending on shipment. However, the only cost we would have is for our new Connex.
I can help with that.
Yes, you can.
You set me up here.
Maybe.
I was gonna say, Goldsboro does a lot of that, refrigerators and microwaves and things like that. You might wanna, I mean, they're next door to us, so you might wanna see what, I know they charge more than that, and there is probably a reason why, so they might be a good
Yeah.
resource.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, I have a
Yeah.
price list here from the company. The issue is, so once you get in, so the items that we are currently discussing taking in are at no cost to the city. So the only cost to the city is the $100 for the pickup. They pick up 12 pallets at a time. So if we charge minimal for these free things, we're gonna more than cover the cost of that $100 pickup. And then eventually we'll eat away at the cost of the Connex box to store all the stuff in. So that's the thought process right now. The issue with the items that they have to charge for becomes an accounting issue, right? So if we charge $5 for a TV, but the TV costs us nothing, there's less accounting that has to take place. We bring in the $5, it goes into, to some revenue account, and that, out of that revenue account, we pay the $100, pickup fee. If we get into taking items that, like light bulbs and other things, then they're paying us, we have to keep track of how many light bulbs we've taken in, how many of this we've taken in, how many of that we've taken in, so that we can then pay the recycling company the amount that we owe them, and it becomes an accounting issue, it becomes staffing. It probably would require additional staffing. The 2 people we have currently, up at the transfer station, it would be difficult for them to not only continue to do the recycling and the trash that they do currently do, plus keep track of all of these, particular items, because again, your larger items like refrigerators, refrigerators and dehumidifiers are $750 with a 50-unit minimum.
Who
So-
does the palletizing?
We do. They
Do we
provide the
have
pallets.
The equipment for that?
Yeah, they provide all of the pallets and the boxing and everything, but we have to store it, and that's the need for the Connex, and we have a fork truck up there to be able to do. In fact, we just bought a new one, so we have all the equipment to be able to do it. So the solid waste committee's conversation was, let's start out with these free items, charge very minimally for them, so that we can recoup our cost and make sure that it's not costing additional money. And then eventually, as time goes on, if things, work out and there's a need for additional, taking of these items, then we can certainly explore that option.
Could I just ask one question about that? Where are the citizens of Ellsworth taking this stuff now?
Unless there's a free e-waste disposal day that
Throwing it
like
in
some of
somebody's
the
junkyard.
like nonprofit organizations do, but it might be once a year, and I think COVID kind of messed with that, because they used to have household hazardous waste and e-waste events that we used to hold once a year with
Right.
other communities, but now,
So-
yeah, it's,
So we're delivering a real value to the taxpayer in Ellsworth to take this stuff, am I?
absolutely,
Okay, I mean, so
for a minimal cost,
we're delivering
Plus,
a
they're
great,
not dumping it somewhere.
yeah.
we're delivering a pretty nice value to the people.
Yeah.
That everybody could participate in if they chose.
Yeah, we are going to make sure that it's just Ellsworth residents at this point.
Yes.
And then in the future, you can go ahead and explain it, you know more about it, so. it
Yeah,
might be
so,
difficult,
well,
so sorry.
what we discussed with the committee yesterday and what Adam and I have talked about is, so on a daily basis, it will only be open to Ellsworth residents, this e-waste collection. But we talked about offering 2 days a year, maybe one in the spring, one in the fall, where we open it up to other communities to bring their e-waste, because it could prove to be somewhat profitable for us if other towns were bringing their, again, the free stuff, the computers, the cell phones, the things of that nature, that we're gonna only charge minimally for. So to use those days as an opportunity to maybe bring in a little bit of revenue to help ensure that we're offsetting the cost of the Connex box and and the transport, the pickup of the e-waste that we gather from the city. Because the reality is, I mean, initially, we're gonna have a pretty, I anticipate a pretty good influx, because people probably have this stuff kicking around their basement, their garages, that they're gonna be so glad to get rid of. Once you get a year under your belt, that's gonna lessen,
Gonna
you
slow
know,
down, I
so,
think,
yeah,
yeah.
you're not gonna have as much, because people, although TVs don't last like they used to, they, generally last more than a year, right? So, that will slow down to some degree, so having these e-waste opportunities that open up to other communities are likely to kind of keep that revenue being generated as opposed to kind of drying up, to, again, continue to offset the cost. I'm also currently working with a company to set up a household hazardous waste collection day. So we're working on bringing that back for the community as well.
Will you take
just-
notes?
I'm sorry?
Will you take notes in case anything more is?
Big important stuff? Okay. My only thing is this, I don't think government belongs in business, but if it's offsetting some cost, I don't wanna be this enterprise account foolishness. If we can, that's just my view, I don't think government belongs in business.
No, but
if
I
we
do-
can offset a cost and spread our wings, then that's fine.
That's all I had.
Just important stuff. Important stuff, right?
Okay.
First off, Glenn, I would love to talk to you about this real estate deal. I was a managing broker for 5 years for commercial and residential, and did due diligence for a REIT for like 5 years. I feel like I can be helpful to you on this particular subject.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no, we both just learned of this, so we will have
Right.
conversations for certain.
So basically, my life, Cassell's really dominating a lot of what we do, the integration and the troubleshooting, and everybody wants to do it the way we used to do it, and that's just not gonna happen. It doesn't have that same functionality, but I think we can get around it. I've also been working on, I was trying to have the budget books done this week, but we have too many other things going on. And Audit 23 just started in earnest this week, which I didn't know was gonna happen, but that's all right. I'd rather have it going and hopefully have it done by the end of March, because I know there's gonna be a lot with that. Still slogging through the issues with check fraud in the bank account and trying to avoid having to change that account, because that is the account that is connected to every federal and state department that sends money to us. The CIP, the capital improvement plan's almost done. I'm just waiting for a discussion with Brent about moving around the financing, because that is a big piece of it, so that we know where the money's coming from to pay for these things. And as far as I know, the payroll journals should be going now in Cassell. There was some issue with accounts not lining up, so I have not been in the loop on that this week, so I will talk to Nate about that, but that's a big piece that needs to happen in order for us to have good budget numbers to work with. And other than that, budget, Cassell, audit, budget, Cassell, rinse, repeat. That's all I have.
Just real quick, if you would, Ann, just, because I know some counselors who aren't present but may watch this video, because I've seen a couple of emails about the 80 account for the library.
Oh, yes.
And just to address the point that Brent from Ron, from
Yeah.
our auditor, is going to be here on Monday.
Yes.
And that issue will be resolved
Yes.
and addressed completely on Monday.
I think there was confusion about that issue, because the way that account was set up, the funds roll out every year into a fund that goes on the audit. So it's not something that's set up like assets and liabilities, which it probably should be set up that way, because that's how they want to keep track of it. But he has all the accounting for it. I've seen the worksheets that went into 22 audit, and all those funds are there. It's just a matter of, that doesn't go anywhere but into the audit. In other words, it's not something that shows up on our books the same way. Because in our books, those are revenue and expense accounts, so they roll over every year. And I think there was just a panic because they weren't immediately available. And so Cassell's also working on fleshing that out, and so that she can actually see it all the time.
Where was it being picked up?
Picked up.
Where were these, if you couldn't see the funds, where were the funds?
The way that it works is because they're in the audit. You can see them in the audit. It's just not in the detail level that she was expecting to see when the data migrated to Cassell.
She being,
Sarah from the
Sarah,
library.
The library, yeah. So I called Ron the exact same day and Cassell, and they started working on it, and then, but she had already gone to the board, so I've just been trying to let her know that we'll have that for her on Monday.
Yep. That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Mr. Williams,
No, no questions.
how about a comment on the school proposal that you heard?
It's a good idea, it's an interesting idea, and it's probably a good idea, but I think you've got to, as
Due diligence.
Yes.
due diligence
Yep.
And a plan. If you're gonna buy a building, then you don't just buy a building and let it rip. You need to have a sinking fund, and you need to have all these things. These are assets. And I agree, to have an asset to the city is much better than paying rent.
You're not opposed, and I'm asking for your input, you're not opposed to looking into it then?
Oh, no, no.
Okay, thank you.
And I just found your comment about the library's 80 account interesting.
It's
I know what it is. It's all the stuff that comes in,
right,
and, you know, and
but the way they
when I was on
handle
the
this-
library board, I was treasurer before the last council charter revision, and we did all that stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes, and then the charter was changed so that we had no control over anything, which also lost a little revenue that we were earning on the account until we made certain transfers to the city. But then it was turned over to the city, and for management, all that money went, which in some ways was very good, since I didn't have to fool around with the stuff. And it was always a problem. What was your previous thing? I want to call it Miralax, but
Munis.
Munis.
Munis, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, and when the council, I think when the charter was revised, and I turned all those funds over to the city treasurer's office, I think it was very sharply pre-Munis. And then when Munis came in, we'd get the monthly statements, and basically they made sense for the city appropriation following, and then also after the account 80 was turned over, they made sense. Then Munis came in, and account 80 was basically incomprehensible.
It's set up weird to be
And-
comprehensible.
And even the city appropriation account was somewhat less comprehensible than it had been under the previous accounting system for my simplistic approach to things. And so I don't know, I don't know, I haven't been on that council, on the library board of trustees for, good God, quite a while now. And, but it sounds like, but I do know that when you look at the audit, there's the investment account, and then there's also
Funding.
the other stuff, that it's, so the total amount is, for the account 80, it is referred to as account 80, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, and
The detail
that's,
wasn't there on the Cassell side because those accounts zero out because of the way they're set up. Whereas if they were set up like asset and liability accounts, you wouldn't have that. You'd have like a balance sheet for it. So what I asked the auditor for was the individual accounting on all of those funds, on all of those accounts that led to Fund 80, that become Fund 80. And so I've now seen that, and he's promised me on, when he comes Monday to help me with some other stuff, that he'll have the full accounting for that with the detail. So hopefully, that will make things
Yep.
all better.
well, very good. If that's all we have, then I
There we go.
I didn't stop the recording.
Fine buildings. It's good.
I don't.